Hey guys, this is Satya. Hope you all are doing well today. Today in this particular video, I would like to explain you about the CSS tutorial, and in this particular tutorial, I would like to explain you about the margin properties. CSS margin properties. By the end of this video, we will be able to learn how to use the CSS margin properties like margin individual sites, margin shorten property, margin with 4 different values, margin auto values, and margin collapse. Now let's get started off. The margin properties. The CSS margin property are used to generate space around elements. So these margins are used to create a space around the elements which we are creating in a HTML or a CSS document. The margin property set the size of the white space outside the border. With CSS, you have full control over the margins. There are CSS properties for setting the margins for each side of an element: top, right, bottom and left. So the margin properties will be given in 4 different kinds of elements, which are top, right, bottom and left. So the margin individual sides. Let's look at this particular first property. CSS has properties as specifying the margin for each side of an element: margin top, margin right, margin bottom and margin left. So the syntax for the same would be margin hyphen top colon. You will have to specify the length, which is 100 pixel, and close the with the colon. In the same way, you will have to give margin right, margin bottom and margin left, and you can close this particular complete syntax with the flower brackets. All the margin properties can have the following values, such as length specifies margin in px pixels, pt, centimeter, etc. Percentage specifies a margin in a width of a containing element. So now let's understand a real-time example by using this particular property of margin individual sides. I'm opening a CSS document wherein I have mentioned some kind of content over here, and I would like to apply a margin for this particular document. Before applying a margin to this particular document, let's see how the output of this particular document looks like. It is just a sample case. Here it is. Using individual margins, the div element has a top margin of 100 pixels. So this is normal content, which is I have written normally. So there is no specific margin given to this particular CSS document right now. So now let's go ahead and give the CSS property, which is a margin property, to this document, and let's understand how this is going to change. So this is the normal document which is right now available, and this is the output for this particular source. So if we are applying the margins for this particular document, now let's see how this is gonna work. I'm trying to apply the margin property to this. I given the top, then right, then bottom, then comes the left. So this is the syntax which we are going to use, and this is applicable. This is closed in flower brackets, and which is applicable for the div tag, which is this particular statement. So I've given the top as 100 pixel, right as 100 pixel, bottom as 150 pixel, and left as 80 pixel. I'm saving this particular document right now. Let's see what will be the output. Here it is. Initially we did not had any kind of margin available over here, so this particular statement was here, and now after giving the margin, the statement has come into the center as per the instructions given according to the pixels that which you have provided. You have given top as 100, right as 100, bottom as 150, left as 150. If you want to go ahead and change this, you can go ahead and change, and you can view what will be the output. This is how you will get the output in this particular way. So this is one of the CSS property wherein we have understood about the individual sites. So in this way we will be able to give the margin to a CSS document by mentioning each and every individual element, which is top, right, bottom and left. Now let's understand the next property. The next property is margin shorten property. So in the initial property, we have mentioned all the elements, which is top, right, bottom and left, individually, separately. So in a shorthand property, what we can do is we can simply give the complete statement in a single syntax. The syntax would be this way: margin colon 100 pixels, 150 pixels, 100 pixels, 80 pixels. The pixels is up to you. Whatever you want to give, you can give it. And this represents, the first one represents the top, right, bottom and left. So if you read the content over here, to shorten the code, it is possible to specify all the margin properties in one single property. In this way, we will be able to mention all the properties in one single property. The margin property is a shortened property for an individual margin properties. So let's see how this is gonna work right now. I'm trying to use this. Will implement in this particular document. I'm trying to save this, and let's look at the output. This is the output. So here I've mentioned only one single statement wherein it is accepted. So if I remove this particular statement regarding margin, I'm saving this. Let's see what will be the output. This is how the output will be. If I'm giving the input into this, and if I'm saving the document, this is how it will be. So in spite of mentioning all the elements, top, right, bottom and left, you can simply write the margin in this particular shorthand process way. This is one of the property of the margin properties. Now let's look at the another property, which is margin with different values. The margin with different values, this means that if you are giving 4 values, let's say for example, if in the shortened property we have viewed that margin can be written in this way: margin colon, we have written all the 4 properties, which is top, right, bottom and left. If you are giving in this way, you will get the complete output. And if you are trying to give the input with 3 values, that means top margin is 25 pixels, top margin is 25 pixels, right and left margins are 50 pixels, and bottom is 75 pixels. That means top is, it is taking us 25 out of this, and 50 right and left, both right side and left side, it is taking us 50, and 75 would be the bottom one. And if you are giving 2, that means top and bottom are 25, right and left are 50. So if you are giving 2, and if you are giving only 1, that means all the 4 sides it will take the simple concept of 25 pixels. So, and these pixels which are mentioned over here are just an example. Now let's see at a real-time example over here. I'm trying to give only 3 elements right now. Let's see what will be the output. I've saved this, try to refresh this. This is the output if I'm giving 3. I'm trying to give it with 2. Save this, go ahead and refresh. This is the output. And if I'm trying to give with only 1, I'm saving this. This is how the output will be. So all the sides it has taken as 100. In our documentation we have mentioned it as 25. Here it is mentioned as 100. If you want to go ahead and change it to 25 and see what will be the output, this is how the output will be. So in this way you can go ahead and shorten the code with simple 4 different values. Now let's go ahead and understand the next property, which is an margin auto value. Margin auto value is same like without giving any kind of information to the margins, just write the margin header and give it as auto. Automatically that will be taken. You can set the margin property to an auto to horizontal center the element with its container. The element will then take up the specified width, and the remaining space will be split equally between the left and right margins. So this is the syntax for the same. Now let's see what will be the output if you are writing an auto. I'm mentioning it as auto. Save this, refresh. So this is how you will get it. Automatically that will take. So this is all about the margin auto property. And the last but not the least, which is margin collapse. Top and bottom margins of an element are sometimes collapsed into a single margin that is equal to largest of 2 margins. This does not happen on left and right margins, only on top and bottom margins. And the syntax for the same would be margin 0, 0, 0, 0. In this way, if you are giving this kind of values in a syntax for margin, that means there will not be any kind of margin to a specific document. So if you see over here, we are giving auto. If you remove that and just apply 4 different values and close this, save this. Now let's see the output. It is almost same. There is no much difference because auto and collapse is almost working as same, because there is no value. That is the reason there is no change in this particular document. Let's remove this and try to understand if there is any difference. Refresh. There is no much difference. I'm including this and I'm trying to save this and try to refresh. No much difference. So in this way you will be able to use the margin properties. So in this particular video we have all covered about the individual sets, individual sites, individual sites margin, shorthand property, and margin with 4 different values, margin with auto value, and collapse. Hope you all have loved and liked this particular video and understand the concepts of using margin properties. Thank you for watching this video once again, and please do subscribe and comment if you have any kind of doubts or if you have any suggestions for this particular video. Thank you so much.